Folks and modelers, I'm back for another update. So this will be part 15, and since I managed to complete up the decals on the deck, I decided to bring one update today. So let me just get into some of the problems, the issues with these Starfighter decals, and also how I applied them in sequence. So let me just get into the problems with these decals. So I think based on this instruction, a lot of this positioning of all these control box are not correct, and these lines, why it's not there, this is actually based on the older version of the Enterprise, somewhere in the 60s, I believe. But basically all the newer version have the lines all the way up to the back. So okay, so let me just point out the one of the big issues. There are a few problems with these decal sets. So this number 65 for the bow here, it is actually it's a bit too small. So what I did is I painted this based on the panel lines instead of using the decal. And then these jet blast deflector edges, which supposed to have yellow lines, the decal provided is this piece here. And the problem with this is all the three decals for all these deflector areas here is in the same size, and all these are actually different in size. So that is the problem. And also these decals are in black and yellow, which I think the line is supposed to be just yellow color based on photos. So I used back the original kit's decal. They did provide these yellow lines, but that decal was also a bit confusing. So I just had to figure out where all the line goes. And the third issue is for these crash barricade pillars here. So the size is just too big, and so this one I have not attached because I wanted to show you the difference. So for this side here, I made some adjustments. Basically, I cut into half so that I can move them closer, and I cut off the tip here and bring the edge towards the inside. So some cutting up have to be done. And also it's better to have this piece in there when you attach this decal, because there is a transparent portion on the inside here. So if you were to attach without the part, I think that middle section is just gonna sink in and the lines will not be straight. So I have placed the part there when I attach this. And a few other problems were these red and white lines. I think they were a bit short, not enough. So what I had to do was I had to print out. Basically, I copied the decal and printed it out again on the decal sheet. So you can see on this section here, the color is a bit different from the decal. But yeah, it's only for this section here which I did not have enough decals. And so I think those are the issues, and also these elevator deck lines, they were a bit short on the edges and some were a bit too big. And I can show you here on elevator number 1. Basically these lines were all the way up until here, I think. So I think these lines should be closer to the elevator deck edges. So mostly I had referred to this photo here, and this photo basically will tell you how the elevator deck lines, and then also these red and white lines here. So basically a lot of referring to photos when I was applying the decal. And also the Starfighter decal instruction were not so accurate. I think a lot of things are not right. So on the sequence of applying, I started off with these two white strip lines. They are in sections, and I think there was about 8 provided. So I started off from here, and the thing to take note on these lines is these decals is the thin line is supposed to be on the outer side and the thicker one is supposed to be on the inside. So I made a mistake by having this the other way around. I had the thin line here. So when I noticed that, I had to turn it around. But you know, since the edge, it did not fit, I had to do some cutting while it was wet, and yeah, a lot of trouble I had to face when applying these. And then after these two lines were applied, I applied this middle strip line. And for this, I applied from the front because I wanted to have this starting from the yellow all the way to the back. If you start from the back, you will end up the front to have a little bit of this white portion here. So I think each sections, the length are not really accurate. So at the back here, it's actually a bit longer. So there was some extra, so I had to cut up and stick it down here. So after that 3 main lines were applied, I started working on the rest of the smaller decals and the red and white strip lines. And the way to check if the decals are in a straight line, usually I would do a perspective view. Then it is easily, you'll be able to tell if it's straight instead of just looking from the top, which is a bit hard to see if it's in a straight line. So just keep checking from a perspective view. So mine probably, maybe it's not 100% straight, but yeah, there are some places where it's a bit off. But I think that's the best I can do. So that's on the decal for the deck. I have completed that, and let me just move over to the bench. I will show you something that I have done for the jet blast deflectors. So I have added decals on these edges here, and these red and white strip lines, I just copied something from the internet and I basically printed it out on the decal paper and then coated it. So I made a lot of extras there. So once this was applied, I sprayed a clear coat, and I have bended one of these deflector plates here. So that's how the edge will look like. So it's hollow on the inside. So I think it will be more difficult to mask this if you have bended this first. Then you still have to apply the decals. So for me, I rather work with it like this and then start bending it. And since there is a clear coat while bending, I think the decal won't be damaged. So I've done this thing, and okay, so I think that should be my update for this time. But yes, I'm a bit disappointed with these Starfighter decals. Why some of them the dimensions were like so off, and I don't understand whether they have actually tested this after they probably have done the artwork. I mean, in terms of the sizes, they are very off. The artwork is nice, but the size is not correct, so that will create a lot of issues. I know the kit itself has problem with dimensions, and there are problems with dimensions on the kit. Now there's problems with the decals, so it's actually both. So a lot of I think areas I had to sometimes use my own judgment and just stick it so that it will look acceptable. And these red and white strip lines, especially here, this gap is supposed to be much wider. So I guess it's better to put this white strip on the inner. There is a panel line there, so the panel line is actually much bigger. So I should have moved it lower a bit, but I had this on already, so this is how I ended up having a much smaller gap there. And in most of the photos, the red and white lines are almost not visible, and a lot of the photos is always either covered by planes, the aircrafts, or it cannot be seen. So it was very difficult to get a reference on these positions. And I think some of these were maybe my own judgment rather than the real ship, the lines on the real ship. So I think that's all for this time. I hope you like this video. So until the next time, after this I will start working on especially photo edge. I still have a lot of photo edge to go. So until my next update, I hope you like this. Give me a thumbs up or subscribe, and maybe you can share the video, and I'll be back for more. So till the next time, happy modeling and cheers. Bye.